Welcome back to GoDoBe EmPowerMe. I'm Joe Goskowski, your host, your guide, and your coach throughout this journey. So, are we there yet? If you've ever taken a long car drive with your kids or somebody else's kids, you've probably heard them ask you that question. Are we there yet? And usually, they don't just ask it once. The reason they ask this is because they're either impatient, bored, can't sit still for too long, aren't enjoying the trip, or a whole host of other reasons. I have a feeling that we might be wondering the same thing. Are we there yet? Now for us, let me explain what I mean by this question of, are we there yet? I would hazard a guess that your life is relatively busy, with some pressing issues that need to be done, things that you need to do, maybe even right now. And chances are you don't have enough time, or money, or patience, or strength, or whatever it is that you need to get everything done exactly the way that you want. So it's natural for us to wonder if we're there yet, because this takes time. Are we at the point in our world where things are going to start to change in a meaningful way? So we wonder about that question only because we just want to reach our goals faster and sooner. I mean, who doesn't want to have improvements in their world right away? I know I do. However, there's a problem with wanting to get there faster or sooner. Now let me explain the problem in this way. Imagine for a moment that we were building something and we wanted to do it quick and fast. What would likely happen if that were the case? To answer this question, let me remind you of a children's story that you might remember as a youth. It's called The Three Little Pigs. The story is about three brothers who didn't want to be eaten by the big bad wolf, so they decided that they would each build their own house to protect them. Now, as you know, the first little pig built his house out of straw, and he finished his in record time. He started in the morning and was done by the end of the same day. The second brother, it took him a little bit longer because he chose to build his house out of wood. Now the third brother took much longer, and while his two brothers frolicked and joked and teased him for days on end, he just kept on working until finally his brick home was finished. Then shortly after their homes were built, the big bad wolf shows up, hungry, snarly, and ready to pounce on his next meal. First he finds a straw house, and with only a few huffs and puffs, he destroys it. Next he moves on to the second brother's home. Now this one too, he managed to destroy. But because it was made of wood, it took him a little bit longer, but in the end, the wood house was no match for the tenacity of the wolf. Now with two down, the big bad wolf moved on to the third brother's home. And here, with all his might, he unleashes his rage and fury. He does his best to destroy this brother's home, but to no avail. Try as he might, he is unable to bring this house down. Now for us, the brick house in the story represents our knowledge and our understanding of the key ideas and principles that we're talking about in this program. It is this knowledge and these principles, or these bricks, that we're going to use to help us build our foundations. This is what gives us our strength. The big bad wolf in the story represents the adversity that we can all expect at some point or basically throughout our life. It's those challenges that we face, the difficult down moments that we experience, and those frustrations that seem to follow us around day after day. I know we all hope for a quick and easy solution to fix things in our world, but history and experience tells us that that's not usually how things work. I wish there was a simple checklist that we can use, one that would allow us to achieve everything quickly, but there isn't. There is no shortcut to achieve success. There is no electronic zapper that's going to give us abs of steel, and no magic pill that's going to instantly make us healthy and strong. If only there was a secret message, some alchemy, or some mantra that could transform our world of mere lead, or what we experience, the burdens that we face every day, into pure gold, or the health, wealth, and happiness that we all want. But that's not real. There is no such thing, and never works that way. Because there are no quick fixes, no shortcuts, and no effortless activities that instantly bring success, we eventually come to realize that all growth takes time, patience, and practice. So now we need to be vigilant to make sure that our sincere desires to change do not become hijacked by a false promise or a magic cure. Now think about this for a second. If it were actually true that there was an easy way for anyone and everyone to be successful, and that it was completely effortless, that they could have anything and do anything, then shouldn't everyone around us already be happy, healthy, and successful right now? Look around your world. Are they? Are most people happy? Just like in the Three Little Pigs story, if we want to build something that's going to last, we need to understand that it will likely take us a little bit of time. Remember the quote I mentioned to you in one of the previous modules. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If we never take that first step, or if we happen to quit along the way, or if we give up at some point in our journey, we will ultimately fail and not reach our destination. I know sometimes it's hard to be patient, to be dedicated and committed to a goal, but it does pay off. Remember the proverb, give a man or a woman a fish, feed them for a day. Teach a man or a woman to fish, and you feed them for a lifetime. Giving something to someone only takes a second, but it only lasts a moment. Teaching someone, or in our case, learning something, takes time, but it lasts forever. So which would you prefer? The golden egg or the goose that lays the golden eggs? Our pace at times may appear to be a little slower than it could be, but it's designed that way for a reason. Another way to look at this is as follows. If you've ever owned your own home or lived in a house that had grass either in the front or the backyard, then you can probably relate to this springtime frustration. It's the pesky dandelion. This beautiful yet determined little flower is tenacious when it comes to spreading across our green grass. Now, most people don't like to see it show up on their green oasis, and I, on many occasions in the past, have tried to stop it from showing up on my lawn. My first solution was to bring out that trusty lawnmower and just cut the tops off, get rid of those yellow spots for good. But as I quickly discovered, simply cutting the dandelion does not stop it from growing back. It returns a few days later and it spreads its beautiful yellow color everywhere. The reason this keeps reoccurring is the exact same reason that we end up facing the same frustrations in our lives over and over. Just cutting off what we see at the surface, the grass, or in our case, what we experience daily in the world, doesn't work. It doesn't make it go away. It doesn't make our pain disappear. The reason it doesn't go away is because it too has roots. The roots of the dandelion are much like the roots of most of the problems that we tend to have in life. They go very, very deep. And because they go deep, we must work harder and persist longer if we want to get rid of them. Whether it's a dandelion or an obstacle in our world, our approach is going to be the same. This is the reason why we take our time in this program. The roots that create what we experience in our world run deep. So I hope it's a little clearer now. The best way to achieve our goal is to take our time and do it right. Let's build our foundations out of brick. Even though it may take us a little bit longer to build our home, our future, our life, just remember that once it's built, it'll last forever. So now, if the question of, are we there yet, happens to come across our minds, we have an answer for that. So that's all I want to say for today's session. Here are a few thoughts to reflect on before you jump into the next module. The first one is from Leo Tolstoy. In his novel War and Peace, he wrote, "The two most powerful warriors are patience and time." The next one is from the Bible. In James 5:7-11, it says, "Good things come to those who wait." And finally, from an Old English translation of a medieval French phrase, come the words, "Rome wasn't built in a day." Until I see you next time, have an absolutely amazing day. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.